perfect time for you to burn the bridge to self-forgiveness. Now's the chance, take a stand, stay your hand before you cast another vote for corporate interest. Another vote that chokes your hopes of owning your own home or opening a business. They love to say their hands were tied, the stars just weren't aligned for them to get their votes in line to see their promises delivered. But they killed it in an instant. Bills don't die by accident, they're all assassinated on behalf of the congressionally kismet. By some lobbyists who see themselves as agents of clandestine fate, not fences in a prison. Dealing in the stolen goods of sleeping slaves and trading on the futures of their children. Betting on a spread of daily dead where every grave's creating profit by the millions. For some fascists lurking in the wings and all of their affiliates. And every Etna demigod our senators conduct their darkest dealings with. It really gets impossible to document or fingerprint, 'cause it isn't just a pattern of corruption, it's the very fabric making up the structure of the system that we're living in. So dash your hopes and down a margarita goes. You box the shadows, take a little nap, and then you get back in and swing again. But if the margarita made you sick, you probably wouldn't take a drink again. So if you're voting either party, honey, think again. I recommend you steel your nerves and never serve an officer, a president, a despot, or a king again. And mark my words, the day will come where we will rise and sing again. And if voting makes you sick, well, no one's forcing you to drink again. I didn't have to wait for long, I never had to change a song. I just sing it like a raised alarm, smile when you say I'm wrong. I can't even feign disarm, can't fake while you play the charms. And I don't know the page we're on, but this is where you say you're wrong. This is where you finally admit you weren't ignorant. Should we be moved to tears if someone isn't eating? We won't even recognize that food is essential to our being. It's just us and motherfucking Israel who will not guarantee that food's a basic human right. Because starvation is our favorite tool of genocide disguised as sanctioned democratic healing. That's me in the corner, losing my religion, gouging out my eyes and then dancing on the ceiling. Jesus fucking Christ, what a feeling.
Hey, what about you, eyeballs? What did you see?
Fate demanded I be singer of a new ballad about the candidate you wanted like a finger in your fruit salad, but were made to choke down. And never mind he didn't have supporters on the ground. Never mind a website that gave volunteers the runaround, and a platform, a policy that followed Biden's lead and didn't make a fucking sound. And then he takes the crown. Now that's ascension into power by immaculate election, cause no one really wanted it and no one should have trusted it. But don't you try to question it, cause Joe is not a fan of questions. But Joe is a fan of pointing fingers right in people's faces. Or if they're not in public spaces, Joe will try to poke a finger everywhere I won't mention. Joe's soul is molded and beholden more to power than the list of fucking speakers at the DNC convention, who gave us all a show of keeping AOC at bay, just so everyone can say they tried to censor her dissension. But if you still believe the progressives we've elected give a shit if we're protected, there's a bridge I'd like to sell you in a parallel dimension. You know they're just tech savvier with media relations, propagandist Instagram and public obfuscation. Better suited to assure you that they're here to have a conversation. Better suited to assure you they aren't actively supporting your eviction and your slide into starvation. Better suited to assure you they can tweet about your needs and offer hope and motivation while you drift into the weeds, but they partnered with the moccasins and gators and the reeds. You damn sure get a portion of our meat. So, love me or leave me or mislead me to decree. Honey, you won't want to hear it, so I'll try to say it sweet. The squad are not your buddies, they are simply more discreet. The GOP will kill you on your feet. Dems and fake progressives do it in your sleep. Anyone can recognize a nation's needs and put it in a tweet. But coming from a leader in a seat of power really shows they know they're obsolete. GOP will kill you on your feet. Dems and fake progressives do it in your sleep. The squad are not your buddies, they are simply more discreet. You won't want to hear it, so I'll try to say it sweet. False alarm. I thought that help was here. But it was my own reassurance bouncing round 100,000 times in my own ecosphere. If every time you speak you keep it off the record, consequently you can keep your record clear. And if you mute the speech that shakes your frail beliefs, you only seek to insulate your image and
Well, hi everybody. Look at it.
Hi everybody.
Was that the Jesus pose?
It was, yeah.
That's awesome. I love
Big
it.
arms thing.
I love it. Yeah, arms spread wide open.
Dug out my old Coheed and Cambria hoodie from when I was 16, and it has the like wings on it, so it just made me feel Christ-like for a moment.
What's up, fam? Hey everybody. It is Tuesday night. It's been a while. It is American tradition. It's Indy over here down in the corner. It's Jesse, all real big over there because it's going to be a big night of Jesse doing
over here
a lot of spoken word. So we're not going to see that much of Jesse big. So we're going to mostly focus on those spoken word pieces, and we'll go through the
words.
words. Yeah, you'll be seeing the words. So I think we'll put up some Jesse. We got the apple, the traditional apple to kick off the night.
More like spoken word, am I right?
I
got jokes. Watch out.
We got dad jokes. We got lots of dad jokes tonight. So tonight is episode 15, and it is a really special night tonight. So glad everybody's with us. This is the coming of spring. So join us for an epic journey through the re-recorded Perennial Edition of Jesse's first spoken word record, The Coming of Spring, with 2 bonus tracks, American Desires and Read Between the Lines, which I can't wait to hear him say live. Elon, Bezos, and everyone else fattening themselves on our suffering will be systematically dissected and defamed with words and love. Sort of love. Garland Nixon, we definitely are feeling for you today. And free Garland Nixon. Get Garland Nixon back on Twitter. This is ridiculous. I mean, come on.
And I will, originally I was going to tweet something about it, but obviously it doesn't take much to get NAFO's attention. And so I wrote a little something about NAFO, and I'll be reading that at the end of the show tonight. It doesn't rhyme, actually. It's more of just a rant speech, but I can't remember the name of the guy on 60 Minutes who they'd let have his just like bitch fest for a few minutes at the end of the night.
Andy Rooney.
It's gonna. Yes, thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna be getting into some.
It sounds like Fire Marshal
Andy Rooney. I'll just clutter my desk and pan the camera down so you can just see all my shit and just sit here and
basically.
But yeah. So that's called Lapdogs, and I'm gonna read that tonight after we're all done. But
nice.
Yeah, coming of spring, man. That was the first spoken word thing I put out, and it was a year ago last week. And I recorded it at a really weird time. I wanted to get it out, but there was a lot going on, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna kind of rush through it. Recorded it in a different vehicle, and it sounds like a different vehicle. It sounds tinny and bright, and a lot of the takes were especially angry. Too much so, I felt like when I sat down and went to listen through that record after I'd put it out, I felt like it stays at such a high keel. I was like, who's gonna want to listen to me like just straight up yell for 45 minutes? And
I have
looking
times.
back on it right now, there were so many things I wanted to share from that with Elon having taken Twitter over. So much of the record is about Elon Musk and about the kind of dystopian, digital currency future that we're being drug into against our will. And every time I went to share one of those pieces, I was like, fuck, I wish this sounded better. And then I was thinking about, I recorded the Grift Home Companion in one night, in one session. I did that with the Co-opt. And it was a Thursday. I was sitting eating lunch at work and looked at the Coming of Spring's Bandcamp page and realized it's going to be a year on Monday that I put this record out. I was like, I wonder if I could re-record it this weekend and have time to do that. And I did. Saturday night, I recorded it. I was going to do just a black and white version of the original cover. And then Cynic was like, do you mind if I take a stab at it? By all means. And yes, she did way more with it than I could have imagined. And it looks fucking stellar. It feels like the title screen for like a Super Nintendo game or something. I feel like I'm about to start playing Metroid. So yeah, I sat down and re-recorded this. And I mean, you can hear, again, I did it in order. So by the end of the record, my voice is pretty beat down. And that fit with a lot of the pieces. I obviously tried not to lose the anger, but I wanted it to be a bit more controlled, especially the Julian Assange piece, Conviction. I wanted that to be a bit more deliberate so that someone that doesn't know his situation could listen to that and have it be a bit more educational. I have a couple takes already, like the live one, that are fucking, at an 11. So I wanted this one to be a little tamer.
And to hear the rawness, and to hear the rawness and the anger and yeah, no,
There's one piece on here, influenza, that I was in the middle of the take and it was going great and I didn't want to stop. And then all of a sudden my voice just kind of gets this forget the frog in the throat. Like all of a sudden just this, like I needed to clear my throat or cough. Neither of those are an option. So I'm trying to just talk through it. And it happens right at a line about someone getting their throat slit. And it sounds like I get my throat slit. It sounds like I'm gurgling through something, and then I clear it out and then keep on trucking. And the timing was so good when I got done and listened back to it. I was like, I fucking have to keep that. It's just, it's such a good fit. And in a million years, that's not going to happen again, you know? So that stayed on the record. But yeah, it really meant a lot to me to get this re-recorded and have something that, like, you know, especially now, thanks to you and the INN, we can post all of these pieces in full, and seeing stuff like Hyacinth and Autopilot get to go up in one piece and share those was just like a dream come true for me. That said, I'm sharing it in the you know, reduced space new Twitter where it's like a dozen of us talking to each other, it feels like. But
yeah, suppression city for sure. We're all in our little ecospheres. If I would to borrow a phrase,
my porn name is Max D Boosted.
well, yeah, Max Boot. He's been having a little bit of a rough time of it lately since Twitter has been having Elon take over. He's not so happy, and that makes me happy. Because like he doesn't know where to go, and it's really funny to watch them all scramble. It's like, dude, we've been trying to figure this out for 3 years. Where do you go when they kick you off the platform that you primarily communicate with? Well, luckily, INN's live right now on 9 platforms, and as I was saying to Jesse, we are live on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, Telegram. We're live on Telegram, Odyssey, Rumble, and Rockfin. We're everywhere, and that's exactly why. Because Rockfin's been the best. I have to say, I love Rockfin. I wish more people would go to Rockfin. It's ad free. Not very many things are premium, video stuff, but most of the stuff is free and you can watch for free, and it's ad free, and it's the same stuff that's on YouTube. And there's a bunch of stuff that isn't. A lot of people that won't even go there anymore, like AM Wake Up, for example, which is a great morning show. Pasta's on there.
I get it, man. Especially when you're talking about when you're covering what they're covering, it's like, what's the point? You go to YouTube, you're gonna get 10 minutes in, you're gonna get a strike. It's like, why would you fucking bother at this point?
I mean, I don't even know
if the option YouTube gives us. It's like, go on and get censored, or just don't bother going on.
Is T-Lab still even going live on YouTube? I'm not even sure. I think they're like constantly making new channels, and there's just so many people that we're seeing it happening more and more every day. So, we've got 17 tracks.
Yeah, we got 17 tracks to get through. Yep.
All right.
And I really, when I looked through here, I was like, okay, the pieces that I felt like were the B-sides before, I really wanted to make those stand out as much as possible, so that like they just kind of, this was their second chance. And there were a couple that I felt like just, there were some heavy hitters on this record. So it's hard for some of the little short pieces to stand out, but I really wanted to try to find what made them stand out and just work that as much as I could. And there are a few of them, like Civil War and the opening and stuff like that, that I'm really, really happy with how they turned out. So I finally made the version of this record that I always wanted to. It was so, director's cut wasn't fair to call it, because I wasn't reworking any of the original recordings. I was Taylor Swifting the whole thing. And I'm glad I did. Yeah.
That's badass. All right. Well, I want to start one of these. Let's go to New World Anthem, which is the first track. All right. I'm going to go through the words, and I can first hit play. Let's go back to 0.
This is the home of the brave. This is the land of the free. One was foreclosed in 08. and one was condemned in 16. And one day, when it's all torn down, and the New World anthem erupts from the ground in the choir of terrible sounds coming out of the studio audience trapped in the rubble beneath, we'll see that theirs is a river that runs through the streets, that theirs is a river that ought to have brought us all up to our feet and off of our knees. But who would have imagined the sound of it flowing would hit your ears like a peaceful creek and just ease you to peaceful sleep, so that you don't see that the news you read is just parroting a narrative, a New World American imperative, that you believe whatever the police believe, that you speak less English and more in the vein of a CIA press release. If the rest is dissent, then the rest will cease. And I wish I could put you to rest and say, honey, this has all been a dream. But this was a test, and the lesson the better learned less within the breach than the observance. If the rest is dissent, it will no doubt be met by a heavy military service. And so starts the war between ruling class fascists and their wage-starved servants. And that's my time. Here's a tape marked urgent you can take back to the surface. Now go and tell your masters that it's time for them to serve us. It's time for them to finally serve their purpose. And if that makes them nervous, then it's only because they know that they deserve it. For building back the wall and all their recent talk of iron curtains. For funneling us all into the shelters or the missing persons. Because God forbid they open up their coffers or their purses. They'll only spring for coffins if you fill an application out and they decide you're worth it. And actually, you foot the bill. They'll pay you back. They swear they will. I mean, do you recall a time the U.S. government had lied or changed their minds regarding something crucial like a treaty or a reimbursement? You really think this country can't afford a decent plastic surgeon to urge you right along so you can't spot a single flaw in all their newest versions? Our leaders wash their image and their money in the same detergent and bathe in all our data like the blood of virgins. And over the horizon howls a horrifying giant who once performed the rites of merging Sprint and Virgin, and who heralds now the sacrifice of Sprint to feed Verizon. It's always open season in the corporate sense, and we are the severed heads that will adorn the fence around the mandatory fair where we will be concurrently the ones who buy the tickets to the circus and the useless prizes. Our torture wears such fair disguises.
Look at this guy. All right. So that's New World Anthem. You're muted, Jess.
Thanks. Hi, everybody.
Hey,
No,
he's back,
I'm
Oh,
so
that's
glad
quiet,
I
Jesse.
redid this record. And I don't know if anyone noticed, but you know, when this came out, this was the immediate follow-up to Inauguration Gift. And the last song on there, Lockheed Martin OnlyFans, ends with the chanting of
One was foreclosed in 08.
this
One was
this was
condemned
the
in
home of the brave,
16.
this is the land of the free. One was foreclosed in 08, one was condemned in 16. So I wanted to open the next album with the final lines from the last one. So that's why that opened up.
Continuation. Yep.
Um,
Sweet. All right. What do we got next? We've got Autopilot, which is the Liberals' Lament.
yeah, buddy.
All right.
Yeah, boy, the next two, 3, and 4 on this record are really getting into this is the close to the edge chunk. So yeah,
All right.
let's get
go.
it.
Now this might just be the last song before I'm silent. Kamikaze Autopilot. Awful lot of hate in my heart and a propensity for kindness. Adrift in an ocean of centrists and all of the rest of the otherwise eyeless. And I know the instinct to lower one's gaze in the hope of escape is ancestral and timeless. But you need to know that the binds that detain us in no way define us. May everywhere you lay your feet be the battleground. Anywhere you keep the fight in your heart, honey, that's where the fight is. The force of our will is worth more than their might is. The cold touch of steel is worth more than the touch of the Midas. And they can dig canyons or craters or gulfs, but they cannot divide us. We are the poor and the huddled, forever denied until forced into violence. But quell your excitement. That dark mass of clouds seen amassing for war on your placid horizon are born of the toxins of white men, who have seen themselves more as the gods moving mountains and speaking in lightning than actual human devices. Manifest destiny, narcissist energy, war pigs in crisis. And endlessly, each will keep funding their own little personal ISIS. Each will keep feeding delusions of grandeur and masculine righteousness. Each will pour gas on our hopes and then strike up the match of divisiveness. They broadcast it right in our homes and our phones, and the service is free, because for them to see all of that poison take hold is elite-level pricelessness. As timeless as oligarchs feeding you mindlessness. So right, this is one of those times that I suddenly wished I was sightless as I listen lifeless to liberals praising our brightest defenders of Western invasion. Praising the people defending a flag that has flown over craters of peaceful and sovereign nations bombed off the face of creation. And all to spread something that we call democracy. Mockingly, probably. Honestly, we come to starve out your colonies, clear out your properties, claim your resources, and set up a government covered in puppet string, tied to our global agenda and ripe for the summoning. This is how we keep policing the desperate, knowing we foster their suffering. This is the mark of the beast of America. Pull yourself out of the gutter by only the straps of your debt, sharpen your hustle, and build just some character. Break down your body to enter the lottery, set your sights right on the luxe, comfy life of a senator, something that's really worth coveting. 'Cause down in the streets, it's a storefront morgue. The sheets are boards and they reek through the coverings. I'm not saying the sky is falling, I'm screaming the heavens are plummeting. I came for the catalyst, stayed for the dread, and that hideous trumpeting. Came for a glimpse of the spirit of war, covered in gore and speaking in gluttonies. A chorus at once both familiar and otherly. Shatter my touch while soothing me, motherly, mindlessly touch. I'm a hyacinth, crumbling under the dirt to the earth, to the worst of discoveries. I came for the cavernous, hideous trumpeting. Then I stayed until I didn't mind, then stayed until I found it comforting. Stayed till the gore was a medal of valor, and all of the war crimes were human and humbling. I stayed until I was defending the caging of children and calling dementia stuttering. I stayed until I was a big fan of access and cautiously skeptic when asked if our healthcare was something our government ought to be covering. Until I was completely complicit in whitewashing immigrant sterilization, refugee separations. I'd stayed until I swore that I still saw justice in all of this bigoted bludgeoning. Not just eugenics parading as something communal in service and properly functioning. Not just eugenics you passively swallow like Xanax when pitched by your favorite brands and your most trusted companies. Not us insisting that progress is Congress collectively stumbling. Not just the Democrats holding the Senate, the House, and the ball and intentionally fumbling. Not just our leadership throwing the fight when it's not their lives on the line, it's our kids on the mat and they're taking a pummeling. 'Cause the hearts of the greedy weep not for the needy, they just pump funds for their own refunneling. They burrow in their wealth like a corpse worm tunneling, stomach full of money, but they'll never see the sun again. It's really kind of funny when you think about it. And then again, it's really so abhorrent, I'm on stun again. Mouth agape, my eyes glaze. The drool is positively puddling. The taste of dirt is fresh and newly earthen on my tongue again. And I am running through a meadow from the truth of who I voted for, and God, the sun is shining, but the thunderstorms are rumbling. Built back better, didn't stay to see it tumbling.
I tried to really make Build Back Better as fucking clumsy and dumb as it sounds. Like, well, it's just the most cumbersome thing. And really, without just clipping this shit out of my mic, just Built Back Better.
Well, the worst part of it is that it's not even an original idea. They have been saying it since like 2009 in every single stupid World Economic Forum and all these shitlib, neo-lib, think tank nonsense things. This has been.
Did you see the G20? they had recover together, recover stronger. Like, come on, you're not even trying. So build back better is what you're saying.
100%. Yep. That's 100% what they're doing. Build back better in just different language, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What do we got?
Rebranded.
We got Mark IV.
Oh, we got Hyacinth.
Hyacinth.
Yep.
That's geranium. Mark IV geranium, or is what did I miss? Hyacinth.
Mark IV geranium should be track 4. Hyacinth is 3.
Oh, shoot. I missed Hyacinth. Here. Well, now we got Hyacinth.
And man, this one especially, like being able to post this in full, it's been hard being shadow banned, deboosted, suppressed, you name it. But this piece has just a couple of those Elon lines that I feel really gutted them pretty well. And maybe my favorite standalone line of mine, which is you are working for a living in which you are only visiting. I would get that tattooed on my forehead under the right circumstances.
Well,
So yeah, this is my baby. This is one of my favorite pieces. So yeah, let's get into it. Hyacinth.
let's do it.
You don't call, you don't write. How is that not to imply that you think what I'm doing must be right? Think that I'm doing all right, and you don't mind giving up your rights. Don't mind seeing your leaders aligned with the violent right. Don't mind carrying water to pour on the altar where we plan to sacrifice all of your pensions in one of our nameless imperial rites that renders the rioters silent and pries every rhyme by its root in their heads, that quiets the storm by denying them platforms to buy up some time for the task force crafting a law to detain them and mace them if they try to ask for their water and bread. Mind you, the bread looks like moss off a boulder from all of the mold, and the water is rusted and red. As bitter as all of the blood you hear pounding when you try to block out the sounds as you're lying in bed. Mind you, the bed is a spot on the floor, and there's really no more to be said. You don't call, you don't write. If you knew better, there'd be mountains of letters outside, stacked to the sky, blocking the sun out, blocking my drive. You would slow the flow of my campaign funds down, my reputation in the ground by sundown. It's a good thing I got MSNBC on my PR rundown. To put you at ease, maybe give you a nice little neolib rubdown. And to blare my redemption from Breitbart to Cumtown. Flood all your free speech channels with a bunch of raw shit and shut the pumps down. And then usher out a couple dozen sock accounts to pop up in your mentions with their toxins stocked and talons out, here to help defend a man's dementia with the passion of a talent scout, selling you their bullshit while they're drooling half a gallon down the hat. They'll pull a rabbit out. Now verbally they'll strap you down, slap you with a finely crafted soundbite from the squad that you could try to feed your family with, or play back for the officers arriving to evict you in the hopes that they won't snatch you out. But big surprise, their clubs are out and masks are down, impolitely asking you to pack a little faster now, just to please the bastard with the fascist hats and badge that makes him think he's someone actually of matter, not an actor playing overseer at the sick behest of benefactors who will starve as many families as it takes to make their profits fatter. And when they tell those loyal cops their kids are on the chopping block to sate their daily greed or need to satisfy their hungry stocks, statistically, 2/5 of these are all too pleased, because it just means that they could beat their spouses without all those little weak attempts to make them stop. I was watching TV, screaming, "Make it stop." Screaming at the cable feed of Double Talk. Screaming at the Daily Razor shaving down our labor laws. Screaming at the left like they can wave a wand and change it all. Screaming at the leaders we gave time and trust and money to who played us all. We the people, tattered rags and paper dolls. Screaming at our debt and at the overfed pigs who created all. And trying to teach the ways of the world to my son like I don't hate it all. Stone soup, cops came and ate it all. Waters for the homeless? Cops are gonna break them all. Education budget? Cops are gonna take it all. Send your kids to prison. Think about the time you'll save us all. Years later, you'll be lucky if you're paid at all. Years later, you'll be wired to a grid that turns your brain's electric current to a resource they can strip, and we will all be mining Bitcoin 80 hours at a clip. Too tired for the drive home, it ain't worth the trip, 'cause it just hurts to be reminded that you never see your kid. And every time they fire up the hub and plug you in, their memory recedes a little further till it blurs into the dim, till you can't recall your kin. Open up your eyes and you see Tesla on your skin. Earn a dime a day and owe them 20 for the mandatory membership to Tesla Gym, where we're all one big happy family who neutralized your family at the gates when they tried to sneak a message in, and taunts you with escape in our advertising messaging. Taunts you with the sounds of a child at play, a warm summer day, those things we can all sense slipping away because their frequency is lessening. You are working for a living in which you are only visiting. Working under safety laws that profit ends up pivoting and shifting into figures in which losing you is just the cost of maximizing profit in the world that we do business in. That world in which we fight to see the bright side but always get the business end. And I've been here in wait since late '08 to witness this descent. So suck my soul away in little bits, a dime a day, but at a monthly cap of 50 cents. 'Cause Tesla-funded studies show that overpaid employees don't know what to do with all the extra money because they're lazy or they're ignorant. But all that extra capital keeps innovation radical, so you can say that you were part of history in the making in the unacknowledged, patronizing, strictly honorary sense. Now, we understand you may resent that Mr. Musk was heaven sent to take you on his back for his divine ascent, and then just before he reached the palace gates above the firmament, he dropped you on the outer steps a month before retirement. Again, may we refer you to suggested ways of demonstrating gratitude for Mr. Musk that he was kind enough to let you feed his great Leviathan. Tesla-funded studies show that you amount to nothing in the hours you're not wired in. The hours you spend quietly denying that you let them in your head or let them walk potential buyers in. Mind you, all of this a mere month before retirement. And mind you, your retirement is waiting in the dirt that feeds the hyacinth. Or maybe, if you're lucky, you could spend another year assisting researchers in biosynth. And mind you, that amounts to nothing more than torture, but they wipe your memory after every session, washing out all prior sense. Think of it as Mr. Musk absolving you all prior sins. Don't think of it as skinning you and fitting you with trial limbs. Think of it as Mr. Musk presenting you the opportunity to help America's elite achieve tighter skin, fuller lips, healthy eyes, smoother lids. Don't think of it as rape. Try to think of it as Mr. Musk assigning you a mate because America needs cattle. I mean, kids. Don't ask what Mr. Musk can do for you. Ask yourself if there is something more you have to give. Ask yourself what more you have to give. Ask yourself what more you have to give. Ask yourself what more you have to give.
Man, I hope he hears that.
God, me too.
Man, I hope he hears that.
Doing my best, man. So here's a fun story. When I got to perform at the first Medicare for All March in Columbus, I did the Columbus one.
Right.
We're at the State House, and there's like state police that patrol the grounds, and they came up and they checked in with us that we had our permit and blah blah blah, and they were cordial. And so I felt a little bad because I was going to be doing Hyacinth, and that has the bit that acknowledges the 40% of police admit to domestic violence. And as soon as I got to that part, I hadn't seen him in all this time. I'm about halfway through my set, starting into the spoken word, and I'm doing Hyacinth, looking around, no sign of the state police. Soon as I get to that line, I'm out on the ground and looking up at everyone who's seated on the steps to the State House. And I had my eyes shut for a minute, and I opened my eyes, and I'm getting to that part, And right when I say the statistically 2/5 of these are all too pleased, I look and it was one of those moments. I'm like,
See the cops like
he's right. He's right behind me, isn't he? You know, it was that kind of like shit. So I had to just bite the bullet and just did it and waited to see if I just got a pistol whip in the back of the skull. You know?
You're waiting for the Sopranos moment.
He continued walking. But yeah, it was just like I looked up at everyone, and Chris, who put on the event, and Andrew and Misty are there, and they're both like just watching, like they're watching a fucking train wreck in slow motion, just like waiting to see what happens. Like, oh fuck, he is right. He's just standing behind you, like a foot behind me. It felt like it was ridiculous.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, anyways, live to tell.
All right. Yeah, you did live to tell. So I've got the next track all set up. Okay, we've again got Mark IV Geradian.
Yeah, we're getting more into some good Tesla and some good Bezos shit on this one. This was really, again, I wrote these, want to be last summer. So when I wrote these, Elon had made no mention of wanting Twitter. Roe v. Wade was still a thing. We weren't in a proxy war with Russia. There are an awful lot of things as I was recording these that it felt way too fitting to be adding, like Civil War, Perennial Edition. Tacking that onto some of these tracks really fit way too well. Trump era hashtags, Perennial Edition. It was meant to be.
I know.
So yeah.
Well, again, yeah, that was last week at Mar-a-Lago, so that's
I hate being right these last couple years more than ever. I'm not a fan of being right anymore.
It sucks.
And yeah, re-recording this album, there were a couple moments I was like, fuck. Like, oh yeah, didn't expect that to be so true, but all of a sudden it's super true. So
nice. All right.
Yeah, this is especially one of those. So let's do it.
I guess I didn't think that there was more beneath the ice. I didn't think the great experiment was just me being nice. I never thought that I could shut my mouth and get the message out directly through the eyes. And I didn't think the virus would still be here after all this time. I thought I'd hit my limit, but I never saw the line. Always think I'm finished, that I'm visited by half a dozen rhymes. Visited by half a dozen visions of the future Bezos has in mind. A future you can picture since you've lived it half your life. But now it's blooming brighter, like a jasmine in the night, or more like a prototype of Amazon vine. See, you put it in some soil and pretend that it's alive, and you let it see the sun so it can read the Wi-Fi, and Amazon promises it doesn't read your dreams or seep a toxin in the air that makes you sensitive to sunlight. So yeah, you may not ever get to see another sunrise, but you got a year's sub to Amazon Prime because it came with a free code. And it's sentient, even in its sleep mode. It's scanning faces, it's mapping clothes, keeping records of your speech and your habits on your phone, shaping all their ads to target you alone. And suddenly you look up from the glow of your device and it's just you alone, frozen in the ice beside the fossil of a megaphone. Frozen next to faded signs like "We are all Assange" or "Send Mumia home." If Bezos had his way, we wouldn't need a home. Because we'd spend every day inside our cubicles, working every finger to the bone or up our cuticles, fed by only fear and our adrenochrome. Until one day you escape, but it's a little too late, because you won't recognize it when you see your home. Because you still look the same, but all your friends are in the senior home. Because Bezos lured you right into the cryo tank by telling you that you're the type of worker he would like to groom for CFO. And you don't know your name, but you know somewhere there's a bank where Jeff had told you that your pay would go. But it's right in the center of his hideous estate, past the Amazon drones and the Amazon tanks who will call in every Amazon robot dog in their ranks within range of their radios. And these are not the dogs that you have seen in the videos. These are dogs that no one else has seen and lived to document, and you'd do well to pray for those and pity those. Every little movement is unnatural and alien, and such a blatant mockery of canine form contorted into such a monstrous radiance it chains you to a fear that is the oldest and the innermost. Hidden close to visions of the blaze that only took a half a day to sweep Arcadia and burn the forest down, allowing Jeff to break ground on the Prime Coliseum and the Amazon Stadium. Somewhere he can sit and watch us battle to the death to have a shot to fill an open spot and maybe make enough to pay for insulin or radium. Just imagine all the rush of the palladium, but painted in the neon sort of gray of pure uranium. Safe to say if Elon had his way, we'd all be husks with just enough cerebral mush to push the buttons, but not enough to make it past the Tesla brand Mark IV geraniums. Who can tell the little microchip they slipped into your cranium to trickle out some lithium to level off your gradient? Maybe you'll think twice before you go try something brave again. Maybe you'll think twice and then the prior thought will fade again. Tesla training pamphlets all acknowledge there's a period where entry-level interns and associates may need a little breaking in. You can shut your eyes, but they're still breaking in. Down beneath the ice, the earth is caving in. Down the road, when Amazon knocks down your home, the house just can't be found. It's just an Amazon casino wrapped around the globe. At every hand, they make you fold and tell you Bezos wins. Bezos makes the rivers red where NATO swims. Watch the UN fume again and draft a resolution to compose a strongly worded letter stating their admonishment, condemning the abuse of human rights. Then they all go back to watching with a paralyzed astonishment. Frozen in the air like they're the painting of a parliament, locked in counter-arguments, quoting from the blackest stack of Amazon-approved redacted documents. Amazon's internal workings writhing like a toxic mass of moccasins. Amazon's job fair day, where they lied about your pay and then they locked you in. Watched by all the jasmine and geraniums and hyacinth stalking you and mocking you while eyeing you with higher sense and booting up the drive that loads the protocol for violence. So here's to the day when the pylons go silent and miles of highways close in a blink like the weight on your eyelids. Here's to your secrets once nothing is private. And here's to your prototype Amazon Vine that, according to Alexa, is just minutes from arriving.
Dude, that is so fucking dystopian. Holy shit.
Right?
But I can actually like imagine 85% of it. And even though it's supposed to be like an extreme, ridiculous, over the top, oh my God, can you imagine like a world like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's exactly like when I'd written the first couple pieces for it, I was trying to go as far as I could, like sci-fi, dystopian, whole shebang, and nothing, like you said, nothing felt that far out of the realm of possibility. Didn't feel like it could be a headline 2 years from now. Didn't feel like something that's already in some binder at the WEF or in Elon Musk's fucking scribbly little notebook that he keeps. Like, I wouldn't. It's hard to put anything past these people anymore.
I love how you tied in like you tied in your album names, the virus in there and early on, and
oh yeah,
I didn't expect it to be this,
and so then I wanted to just like lean into this kind of sci-fi as much as possible. Like, if I'm going to do it, let's do it in like a dystopian political, hellscape, which again is not super far off. So
I think Jeff or Elon might actually hire you to be their marketing guy, because that actually probably sounds pretty appealing to them, the way that you wrote it. Like you're being awfully apologetic for their fucking awful monstrosity. They're like, hey, I need a guy that can write positive? Like that. Can you do this and make it sound really nice? Like, yes, I can.
Nah, dude, they'll just core out that part of my brain and throw it in some other schmuck and have them do it.
Right. It'll be like, I think they actually have a show like that on Amazon already. Like, you die and your brain goes into a thing. And I swear it's already.
See again.
See, it's not that.
And all the good ideas they already took. Right?
And by the way, everyone, you can download this for free or download what, guy?
Sorry,
What?
that the header on my Bandcamp.
Yes.
That is a black and white version of a picture I took playing Mario with my son, and it glitched. That was Mario 3,
Mhm.
and the screen turned into that. Every little pixel became a randomized square, and I took a picture of it and made it the header on Bandcamp, and it's been there for a couple years and I haven't gotten sued, so that's cool.
That's badass. So Trump era hashtags. Love this. That's what's up next. So I was showing people that this is at Bandcamp, jessejett.bandcamp.com.
Oh yeah.
The link is in the description and everywhere you can
Mhm.
see this, except for I don't know if they're putting it in Twitch or wherever. jessejett.bandcamp.com. You can go to his Twitter also at Jesse_Jett Jett. You've got right there. I've got right above him actually. It's above you, not below you. Your Twitter.
Oh yeah.
Right there. So you can point up. All right, so we're gonna go to Trump era hashtags. This is a short one, and let's bring it.
We're the ones who donate so you can win the race, then turn around and make a cash grab. And yet we turn around and thank you for the backstab. We only had to change the names on Trump-era hashtags to hashtag Biden lied, people died, hashtag Biden built the wall, and hashtag Biden is a fascist. That one's gonna get a workout this summer. Every gas attack, every time they come and cattle you and rush you in a charging armored mass attack. And the last thought that you'll have before your head hits the ground, splits, shatters, and then bounces back is how much they deducted for that body armor just before they gave your measly taxes back. This is war, and that's a fact. This is more than Biden gets to fix by saying riot bad, white terror good, and sending you away with a little bit of placid satisfaction thinking that was that. But that was far from that. That was far from making 500,000th of a fraction of a surface scratch. That was only muddying the waters of your scrying pools, grind a little gravel on your looking glass. So that when all the truth is bare, it is but an empty air and 1,000-yard stare with which we're looking past. And all it took for me was one classic Biden speech to know there's nothing I won't put him past. Be it jacking up your insulin, or caging every immigrant, or threatening the victims of his sex offense and smearing them to try and get his footing back. Biden is a war crime veteran who dropped the bomb on better men, and all for only Lockheed Martin's benefit. So please don't try to paint his bitter bigotry as something tame, like he was just a grumpy grandpa bitching for his pudding back. Unity and solidarity to Joe Biden means a meeting where the hoods are black. Which, if it's representative of anything, it's just the executioner who lives to swing the axe and never once has thought of looking back. And some need never fear the axe, who still possess a hope chest with the wood intact. The same who swear they'd never march with all those nasty fascists, but they would in fact. The same who say they'd never cheer a journalist who's being tortured for exposing war crimes each of us should deem important, but they would in fact. The same who say they wouldn't call the cops on every unassuming black teenager they see walking down their block, but they would in fact. Biden said he wouldn't, so you voted when you shouldn't, 'cause he would in fact.
You had to throw that in, sorry.
Oh no, for sure. I Ken fucking Klippenstein for sure.
Fucker.
Mm-hmm.
Kenny Clips. Yeah. He can bite me. Yeah, I was bored that day. Anyway.
I'm trying to remember what's next. That'd be
It's Bomb Squad.
6. What is 6?
Right?
Oh, fuck, it is. Yeah, Bomb Squad and then Influenza.
And then Influenza and then American Heritage.
Yeah.
So we've got a nice set coming up. Oh, here we go. All right. Let's get this going.
Let's do it.
Presenter mode. Bam. Bomb Squad.
I'm sick of the lie, and I mean the big lie. I'm sick of the talk and sick of the sight. Let it be said, I was a lyrical blade at the neck of the right. I was a lyrical needle that entered the temple and opened the mind. The interim Lord of the Flies. Erecting a hall to the dead in a culture of trauma survivors who struggle each day to survive. held under pressure by suited oppressors who peddle and blame with a little bit of victim shame on the side. You can't quite measure the spite each day when you find that you've opened your eyes in a nation refusing to honor the worth of your life, in a nation refusing to lessen the wealth of a handful to wash off the stains of our poverty lines. But they're happy to tweet on the issues and pat themselves all on the back for the bill they designed with zero intention to sign, but all too content to soak up all the media shine. Like a bomb squad only reporting to find the device and state that they found the device, watch the device, publicly shame and denounce the device, tweet every day on the risk that could rise, and then land on the cover of Vogue for their fearlessness, power, and style while facing that awful device. And behind closed doors, they can laugh with that awful device. They can shake hands with that very device that eats millions of struggling Americans' lives. And one day, when it blows sky high, they can wring all their hands at that toolkit sitting nearby with a manual walking them through the disarming and proper disposal, and all point fingers and all place blame over why it had never been tried. But if all of us hostages had those tools, we would not think twice. Instead, we were left in the dark with our hands all tied. They bring a few ball gags once in a while. We open our mouths and we don't ask why. A few don't mind. A few start cheering the silence who view it as some kind of positive sign. And a few shouted prayers to a squad that had sworn they were here to help and they were on our side. And suddenly, we could hear vehicles come up the drive. We saw the flashing of lights. We thought that help had arrived, only to find there was a media frenzy to see AOC wear her hair to the side. And Kamala Harris was not in attendance, but she sent her shoes in a bulletproof limo with heavy security detail that all of our taxes were gracious enough to provide. And along with her warmest regards, she sent a surprise. A shipment of muzzles and gags, and all of them signed, "Cheer for your squad or shut up and bite. President Harris." That's what I'll read through the tears in my eyes while I'm opening wide. Accepting my penance for daring to warn that the squad will be cutting your heat in the night before they take a blade to those wires. And our only hope to dismantle their precious device is in snipping the red and the blue, because they're fully entwined. To cut out the red and the blue in our minds wherever we find. So here's to combining our hands and cutting the line. Here's to denying the motor the oil it needs to be primed. Here's to a wrench in the gears of your capital, hearing it grind. Here's to the feeling of loosing your collar and breaking your binds. Here's to the bliss of forgetting your number and knowing it's fine. Knowing your name. Living your life for a purpose beyond someone's profits, of which your retirement warrants a hollow farewell and equivalent gift of a dime. Here's to the bliss of us cutting the line. Like President Harris, I'm biding my time. Here's to the promise of breaking our binds.
Bro, I don't like this song. I don't like this one because it says this.
I was about to say, I don't like saying it. I don't like hearing it.
It just it stirs an emotion. It stirs an emotion.
You have to be very careful not to say it 3 times in a row.
Oh my god.
You don't want to fucking do that.
All right.
Don't you just love a big yellow school bus?
Oh goodness. What the hell was? Wow. Whatever pills they're giving her, man.
I was about to say, if someone was like, "Hey, I got some of the shit that Kamala Harris takes. Do you want one?" I'd be like, I got shit to do, man. I don't have a weekend off. You can
Yow.
I don't think I can survive one of those.
Like, just that. Yeah. I can't. I can't even. All right. Influenza.
Okay, so this is the one when we get to the line. What's the line right before it? It doesn't take its time to gloat. just slits his throat and smears the blood on everything. That's the line. You'll hear something come
That's
up in my throat, and I didn't want to stop. Didn't want to stop to clear it and cough. I just tried to push through and was able to push it through, and it ended up fitting the piece really well. So yeah, so we kept it.
And you had the gurgle.
Obviously, this was mostly about influencers, about watching that, just this generation of just what entertainment turned into, just all the whole thing. But yeah, this is very early. This piece predates even the stuff on the virus. This was right before quarantine that I wrote Influenza. So it's definitely the oldest of any pieces that are on my my records as of right now. So yeah,
Joe would see that gurgle and go, "That's a Union drip."
Democracy of colonists. I hear your sprockets squawking something awful, grinding to an operative. You know, no one's really free where simple suffrage was an obstacle. To put it plainly, I don't think it's fair to say you have to pick a side between the war pigs and apologists. To put it bluntly, motherfuck your politics. To blunt it further, fuck you if you think this is the time to lay low and go the innocent innocuous. You want to murder? I will kill your confidence. But first I'll strip it bare, parade it through the square so your constituents can spit on it and really savor mocking it. We shouldn't have to tell you you can't fill a stomach up with fucking collagen. We shouldn't have to tell you that a bunch of fucking influencers won't attend your colleges. That a bunch of fucking influencers will not understand or lift a finger in the name of writing policies. They can't catch a meaning past a meme, by which I mean they need a photo they can see, and then a paragraph detailing why it's clever, or relatable, or funny, or at best a combination of the three. The fuck you think you'll see when they assume the driver's seat? How fucked you think we'll be when they're the ones we choose to lead? God, could you imagine someone who is an entertainer, not a politician, as commander-in-chief? Just assuming our command with all the drama they can muster, so the ratings for the news reports are truly all the best that they can be? Is entertainment really what a sinking vessel needs? Are we all fools enough that we could be distracted by an actor who isn't actually a president, they only play one on TV? Is this America just binging on some garbage television right before it goes to sleep? Or is it already asleep? Adrift in deep water, the sheep were long slaughtered, so it dozed off tallying the bodies in the streets. But it can't shake the stresses of the day, so it all replays on a loop like a fever dream, where it's seated in a throne and it bellows out, "Bring me the believer king!" Doesn't take its time to gloat, it just slits his throat and it smears the blood on everything. It wakes up with a pool of sweat, a sense of dread, a racing heart, and raging heart-on that could break through anything. That's the cocktail of emotion that I'm sure the founding fathers had in spades when they were putting words to page to build a stage for the display of the disease and crucifixion and decay of Lady Liberty. I got tickets $12 at the door, pre-orders only 10. Ask your average influencer to attend, they'd ask, what kind of cross-promotion can you give to me? Fuck you times infinity. Fuck all your entitlement that borders on divinity. Fuck the dickless shouting match that y'all call masculinity. And fuck my future self if he thinks differently.
Man, you hit me with a line here that, holy shit. Can you imagine someone who's an entertainer, not a politician, as commander-in-chief? Zelensky.
Yep. Yeah, right.
And there's like 2 or 3 lines that I'm like, holy shit, Zelensky? Zelensky?
Yeah, right?
Like, oh my God. This is, and you wrote this before Ukraine, before any of this stuff.
Yeah. Biden wasn't in office yet. Biden wasn't even, the obvious primary push that they were giving us at the time. So
I was just like, holy shit. When I heard that, I was like, ah. Yep. Talk about like needing a re-record because it has completely different applications now, but completely relevant.
Are we all fools enough that we could be distracted by an actor who isn't actually a president? They only play one on TV.
That was the other one. I was like, literally Zelensky, who literally played the president on TV in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Like, damn. And then, is it already asleep? Yeah. Yeah. Of course,
Mhm.
you know, when Politics Girl has 500,000 followers and that JoJo clown has the, I
Mhm.
mean, the CIA supported kind of stuff. And again, we're going to get into NAFO and all that. I would say that most of America is already asleep.
But I
'cause
mean,
they're like,
I feel
wait,
like so much of Twitter
there's- there's Nazis that have infiltrated like social media. Like that's literally like half of America right now. It's like,
yeah. Jeff.
Jeff.
Man, look at 14 folks hanging out with us. Thank you guys. Seriously.
Nice. Oh, they're badass. Seriously. All right, so we got
I love
another
as
one.
much as I love performing, like I love doing the listening party nights, and it's nice that other people enjoy that as much as I do. Especially with this one. Like again, it's disgustingly timely. I wish it wasn't, but like again, I hadn't even thought about the Zelensky connection there, but yeah, reading through that now, and if you were looking at it through that lens, there's so many moments there that jump out that feel like it could be explicitly about that. So
Yeah, pretty much. Like, holy crap. All right, so we've got Civil War again.
yeah,
Because
right. Perennial
what-
Edition.
what-
Again,
what-
this was one of those pieces that when I realized I was going to add Perennial Edition to each track, a couple of them it was just the cherry on top for the title, and this is maybe the best example.
I
Of
mean,
that.
they were literally hyping this pre-election. It's coming. The coming of Civil War is literally what you could have made this album.
Yep.
The way they're doing that. So,
and I never I think it's this piece. I'm not a huge fan of the word bitch, and I use it in this piece, and didn't mean to go like full Jesse Pinkman, but it totally did come out that way. It's just a very Breaking Bad kind of moment for me. So yeah, I figure if I'm going to use it, I was gonna kind of have fun with it and not like not serve it up with the full anger that some of the other words might get. So Civil War.
Hey, I want to say over on the Rockfin, thank you to Anna Mayers and Jeff, who's been hanging out over there. You go rockfin.com/INN. Anna actually tipped us $20. Thank you so much, Anna. You're the best. We love you. She says Ecosphere fucks up people who ride with me. They love it or try to flee at their earliest convenience. So we love that. Okay.
Oh,
she
that's
says,
awesome.
Keep media free, back to work. So yes, appreciate that. And Jeff says, weird how pigs are pigs. They all
Thanks,
know.
Anna.
And hey, from
Yeah.
the Rock fan, Jeff's over there. We love you over there. Thank you so much. Appreciate your support, and shout out to everyone on Rockfin. Go follow us for free on Rockfin. It's free. It's free. It's free. Better alerts than YouTube. All right.
I know it's
Ooh.
hard to pay attention, but I need you eyes up right now. Try to give me just a little more. At the risk of sounding like a pessimist, I think it's safe to say that brighter days might be laying down 6 feet beneath the floor. At the risk of sounding too accelerationist, I think we just might need a civil war. To stand a chance against a ruling class who rig the game and spend a fortune more than we could ever save on an ad campaign to explain how we're looking at an even score. They complete the ritual and disappear through hidden doors. They wrap up a speech about a water crisis, warning you to ration every drop, and you get thirsty at the thought and turn around to find them sitting at your table, calmly sipping yours. They've set up travel offices, locked up all your faucets, started shitting on your kitchen floor. Like, thanks for your support, bitch, vote some more. We can keep this going like an open sore. Watch your squad estate turn into storage wars. Watch them turn your will into an order form. And order up the perfect storm. An unassuming operative of court-approved surveillance and coercion, one which the most studious observer would confirm is nothing more than your nasturtium. But one in which the utterly malignant Mr. Musk has swapped out all the chlorophyll for Tesla chloroform, propagating seeds that breed a lord of war, that wait to germinate until the day that Tesla's set to merge with Amazon. And so begins the long descent of Babylon, when all your churches, homes, and little monuments are trampled on, And while I know the sound will be so sickening, I also know a little part of me is gonna wish I had my sampler on. To capture all those screams of disbelief from the insulated, gated, safe communities that never seemed to care how many bodies all their land was on. 'Cause now they're all patrolled by the same soulless soldiers that when they pull you over couldn't give a flying fuck if it's a taser or a gun that their hand is on. And some are only in it for the thrill of knowing every day they're making sure another kid is finding out their dad is gone. Who'd have thought that Biden's racial jungle would be planted here by Amazon?
Ah, I see what you did there. Jungle, Amazon. We got dad jokes all over the place here. Look at this.
It's word tricks.
All right. So we have for the next one, and we are up to American Heritage. I don't know
American Heritage. Yes.
American Heritage is there. Now we're in the right place. All right. American Heritage. Here we go. Let's get moving.
Lights raise on a table of senators inking a sale of arms. Slipping in footnotes, funding incentives to put those crops in the garbage and pay the farms. And in bursts a mother with babe in arms, who can't pay rent or a grocery bill with her faith or charm. And they tell her, save your charms. Save the sob story for those who can help you. Our hands are tied to these puppet strings lifting our arms. This is the crop that we reap when we vote on the promise of peaceful sleep and a reduction of harm. These are the promises gone into hiding when Biden decides to walk back a reduction of arms. And we are the people left shouting on mute because we dared to sound the alarm. We tried decrying a crisis of homelessness, hundreds of people who used to be homeowners buying the farm. Biden was too busy patting us all on the back over shots in arms. We are the cattle they'll pull out to pasture or lock in the barn, burn to collect the insurance, and then they'll just carry on. We can be sheep or be carry-on. We can be meek or be clarion, haunting the ground we were buried on. We make the sound of the great beyond, echoing back to the chamber where all of those tireless senators stayed till dawn, drafting provisions improving the living conditions of only constituents riding this crisis out down in their summer house sipping on Avion. I follow a man named Jatavion. He got pulled over and he made it home, but he knew it was almost the day that we don't want to come, but we all know will come and we're all sort of waiting on. The day that they snuff out your flame and explain they mistakenly thought that the safety was on. Half asleep and half mass hysteria. And back at the table, the senators label the final draft Project Valerian, with the subtle approach of a botched cesarean. Dressed in the suits that their hideous final forms were born in and will likely be buried in. Close your eyes. Eat your news. Chew your Valerian. 2024, you'll be voting for either the Kamala bot or an outright Aryan. And they'll warn you democracy's up in the air again. But how many men will we see by then with an officer knelt on their neck while they're gasping for air again? And the pig on their back is some dog of the state whose purpose is just to attack, and he knows that fact, and it makes him invincibly arrogant. And as rabid as all of the fascists you train in your barracks and garrisons. Timeless indeed, like the Christian need to dehumanize those that they view as beneath them. That's the same old song that we sang to the Saracen. And you were today years old when you learned that for all of this time, we were the actual terrorists. We were the source of those flawlessly crafted, disparaging narratives. And we have sent presidents here and abroad into absolute power or off to meet God to arrange all these corporate marriages. I was mistaken to call it tradition. This is American heritage. This is the land where they lighten your language, pick apart all your paragraphs, gut every lyric of leverage. Smaller than all of those flecks of valerian they sent adrift in your beverage. Each word I write that tries shedding some light on the pig they portray as a presidential paragon. Every word I write regarding Biden, he whose sable arms, blacker than the purpose of the warships in the naval yard, orchestrate our fate to try to sate the thirst of Raytheon. Blacker than the water that we used to flood Iraq and then trickled into Libya so Hillary could open up a nice global slave bazaar that we'll return to sack and then pat ourselves all on the back because we liberated Libya. The slaves are gone. But what we didn't know until today was that all of those slaves that we saved are really on a plane and they're halfway to Gitmo. We interrupt this story due to Kamala arriving in her limo with her Timbs on, and that's all your need to know info. This is a historic day, and you can say you saw it with the last of all your energy because you were busy starving, staring at the roast that the senators were carving to celebrate a bill that faced no opposition in Congress, to cut back your heat and your lights at a time when the nights are their longest. And if you don't know the tune that they're singing by name after the grave, the Saracen can tell you what the song is. And they'll tell you that it's loudest where the smell of the valerian is strongest, where they turn around and make an arms deal after promising an armistice, where the workers get the wall and the scab solves stoppages. Take it up with Congress and their fortified offices, blocked by riot cops who'd love to stand on your esophagus because that's what they've been training for and told equates to competence. You brought it on yourself by refusing your valerian. You brought it on yourself when you hesitated giving us your child for experiments. You brought it on yourself by denying your family exposure to all our new variants. You brought it on yourselves. It's American heritage.
Wait, I was looking for it a second time. It says it twice. You brought it on yourselves. It's American heritage, so I guess I'll do it.
I'm muted. The original version of this does have it twice. When I recorded this one, I did that twice, and it just felt too like CSI Miami. Like it just was, there was no way to do it that didn't feel like it was just for dramatic effect. Like I just couldn't like I was just supposed to take my shit off and just so I couldn't.
Bop, bop, bop. Yeah, we definitely need to get Roger Daltrey in at the end. Oh,
God.
Bow, bow, bow. All right, so Civil War is next. Wait, did we do that one already? Did I do so? We did Civil War already.
It's okay. I think we went Civil War and then American Heritage.
Oh, I skipped it. Okay.
So Abundance of Scarcity. It's a shame she just dipped out, but Anna Mayers, way back in the day, hit me up and said, "You know what? You should do a piece about food scarcity, about food shortage." I was like, "Yeah, I should. I should try to write something about that." And so I sat down and I wrote this, which both times I've tried to record this, for some reason, this piece has so many moments that are just a big old clusterfuck for me verbally. And I've had so many takes, and it's like I was on probably my eighth take recording this, and several of these I did in one go. This one was not one of those. And I was on like my eighth one, and then I remembered, because I'd probably blocked it the fuck out, that when I did the first record, First Coming of Spring, I struggled recording this one and getting through it in one take. So yeah, it's a slog for me to record, but I love this piece. So shout out to Anna Mayers for requesting it.
Let's do it. Thanks, Anna. Love you.
It starts with a few things missing at the store. A few things missing that you're likely to ignore, that didn't impact this trip or the one before, but it might impact the next 4. Or every time you try to find provisions between now and the forevermore. Between now and the day when all your neighbors form a horde and show up with their forks and torches trying to force your pantry door. And you could give them double what you really can afford, but they'll all be back for more. Because your meager little crop is not enough to stop a war. Not enough to stop a conflict. Not enough to stop our greed and primal needs from just erupting into one communal mosh pit. 'Cause Uncle Sam will starve you just the sight of fucking Auschwitz if it pleases Congress. If it pleases all the hawks so they can gas up all their bombers. Then devastate some other poor families far away and overseas because we illegally obtained their DNA and linked them to Osama. And when they send police to burn your gardens and your trees, and they tell you you can't feed yourself, you just might get a visit from Obama. He can put his arm around you, maybe offer you a drink of ice-cold Flint water. And he'll tell a little story about a hard-working immigrant who's here to live the dream and make a future for his daughter, who works the high-fructose corn syrup vats at the factories that forge our fodder. And he'll tell you what a slap in his face it would be to refuse the fruits of all his labor just so you could live a little longer. He'll tell you how the spirit of America is carried by the people who would brave a little danger just to make the whole collective stronger. And he'll make it sound so sweet that you'll completely understand why he's the ruling class's fixer when they need a revolution conquered. So buy some stock in water. Take a good long look at your local farmer's market. Soon those skies will darken. Soon the crops will gray and only ash will be the harvest. They'll take EBT away from those it hits the hardest, and regardless of your talents, you'll be starving artists. Locusts lounge about the empty carts and gather in the thicket. Anywhere the dust is thickest, all the signs have blown away, and anyway, there's nothing left to pick it. We unanimously voted to approve every one of Joe's decisions, because we were far too weak to speak a whisper of resistance, and some were too blinded by their bright orange nightmare to look into the distance, or to look into the past and see that Joe's plan to feed us all means eating all your meals in prison. That's the truth of profit over plenty in a capitalist system. If the harvest ends up in your hands or rotting in the trash, only profit makes the difference. Only money will decide if they neglect your children. Because hunger kills, so corporations found a way to see that hunger makes a killing. And the truth is hard to swallow, but it's plenty filling.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah. Shout out to animators for asking about a food scarcity piece.
Jeez.
For sure.
That's the truth of profit over plenty in a capitalist system. Oh, it kills you. Much love right back from Anna. She's still there. She's still with us over there on the rock.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
Good to hear you over there. Okay.
All right.
So
late
now,
for the Hague.
We're late for the Hague. I think we have many people this could apply to. So let's
yeah, no shit.
Oh man. And again, could continually be now we can apply this to Joe too.
Mm-hmm. So Perennial Edition.
Born in the shadows of graves. Dug for the victims of war or the bodies of negligent poverty, labeled as either essential or brave. We had to watch them lay old Lady Liberty down on the lathe, shave all her salient features away. 'Cause we like our women condemned. We like our women contained. We like our platitudes flaccid and vague. And we like to deify people objectively late for the Hague. We like our senators boneless because we've only elected the spineless, who all lack backbone and possibly teeth because they don't bite back and they don't speak up. They resign like sheep into silence. I don't have much hope when the meek all inherit the planet because they fumbled the House and the Senate and handed the reins to the people they spent 4 years all proclaiming as baseless, corrupted upholders of bigotry, leeching our taxes like bandits. When all of our leaders are wearing that standard. All of them work for the global purveyor of violence, pollution, genocide, bias, fascism, child starvation through sanction, cultural cleansing, and propaganda. Black Mariah, White Miranda, Streets Crescendo, Fascist Answer. Any donation you give them is feeding the cancer. Bloating their egos so they can come dangle the carrot, promise you $2,000 and hold it for ransom. Like we should fall all over ourselves when the squad tweets. We should lick the squad's boots, kiss the squad's feet. They ask, what would the money we promised you months ago actually mean? What would a one-time check to pay part of your rent and allow you to eat for a week mean to you and your family of 3? Tell us you need it. Tell us you want it so bad. We can't hear you. Tell us how thankful you are for the squad, because we're all that you have. Tell us how grateful you are that we watered a bill down to please the Republicans, knowing their votes weren't needed to see that it passed. That's called unity. When your overlords can get along peacefully and agree on the most cost-effective way to starve American families to death, discreetly kill off the disabled, and slaughter people of color with impunity in broad daylight, that is what they mean by unity. That's what they want us to be fucking thankful for.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of go off beat there at the end of that one. It's so hard for me to write non-rhyming, like I never do. But at the end of that piece, it felt really fitting to just stop for a minute and just abruptly end it like that. And so I did.
And again, we've got a perennial edition of Now This Time Lifelike Decay. Oh, Joe is Lifelike
420.
Decay. Oh.
Look at that, 420 runtime. I better smoke a joint.
Yep. I think take a little puff on that.
Drop
thing.
the mission accomplished banner behind me.
All
right.
Was it real or was it an image? I don't know. People are now saying that they think it might have been an image. I can't believe that. Oh, there's a real banner.
Oh.
The power balance shifted, and suddenly the CDC said we were free to scurry back to normalcy, and all the bans were lifted. All the masks were thrown into a dumpster full of body bags like we were out to sea and had a captain always screaming, "Land!" no matter how far out we drifted. No matter how far down you kept your head, you would be plucked from out the crowd and you'd be scanned and sifted. You'd be human contraband they smuggled off a private land to 20 years unlawfully detained to waste away beneath a federal prison diet plan. You'll accept a brand made of the bloodshed of your fellow man and think that you're still free because they let you pick the hand and let you dip it in. I used to think they looked at us like dividends. Now I think they see us more like fees, and they think feeding us amounts to breeding fleas, so our humanity is fading in their dissonance. If Trump was ever right, it's when he said we had no innocence. And incidentally, also when he cut the cost of insulin. We reached the Oval Office for a comment, and they emailed back a geosat photo of our office with a target on it, reading, "Please confirm this as the site where you would like the special forces to arrive to try and beat out a denouncement of your insolence, and mace you in the face each time you cry or try to choke out claims of innocence. Now, aren't you glad you voted blue to insulate your ignorance? When censorship was rushing past, you offered gas and asked if you could push the pedals. Suddenly, when all of the election dust has settled, you've been gassed and kettled. Only now you start to see there's very little difference, and what difference there is clearly not how you'd envisioned it. Like when Biden said he lied and that 100,000 immigrants were limited. Kept the limit Trump had implemented that we said was un-American and hideous. Suddenly, that's standard foreign policy, and Joe's equipped with all we need because he's so up to speed and so fastidious. And that's the line the news will try to sell, and you can tell they think we're really that oblivious. Because clearly we were really that oblivious. Clearly, we accepted lesser stimulus like idiots, like we think our request to live with dignity should really all be leveled at our leaders in the form of something pleading, something poor, or something piteous. Like it's not enough they've worked you to the floor, paying you a wage that spit directly in your face and through your pores directly to the source of your meridians. Till all of the valerian on what remains of earth cannot return your cursed worth from something burnt into the dirt to something blooming in viridian. Only then you'll start to see there's very little difference, and the difference there is I warned you of for 90 minutes that I bled into the sonic till the every word stood onyx and obsidian in its intent and rigor fucking mortis in conviction. I delivered it with pops and hiss and honest spit and honest tears and honest smears of politicians who are honestly more evil than you'll ever find in all your fiction. And I honestly don't need your validation for my malediction. And I honestly could feed on all my hate until I'm spirited away at such a raw nutrition. Organic in display like it was something Tesla made with a solar photosynthesis array. A CIA plant that withstands brutal heat as well as temperatures of 45 beneath and does not wither till it carries out its final mission. Realistically, organically decayed among the graves of all who saw the vision I depicted. that waits around the corner like the single mom we just evicted, who put her faith in Biden and was shocked to find him walking every promise back across the profit picket line till homeless shelter funds were tight, resources for stable spots to sleep at night were nowhere she could seem to find, which puzzles her since hers is but a nightmare widely shared and all too easily predicted. Only now she'll start to see there's very little difference, and the difference that there is clearly not what she'd envisioned.
I like that one. Yeah. I like that one. Single mom. Too many of them right now going on. Thanks, Joe. What about the 10%? Wait, who's? Oh no, you know, I think I might have turned off your mic. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I did that because you had an echo when we
sorry.
were going, but we're
Oh,
back.
sorry. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Sorry.
There is a part of me, as much as I love to shit on you know, the blue wave voters, I do genuinely feel bad for the people that felt like they were going to get what they needed, that vote and believe what they're told, believe those promises, and are genuinely crushed. Because I've been crushed by the outcome of an election before, or the outcome of what I got when I got what I thought I wanted. Obama. So it's, you know, I do feel genuinely bad for the people that are like, you know, let's say the single mom in that scenario, like someone that voted thinking it might get them out of their pit, and then they're just further in the pit. If anything, here's someone that really knows the system and knows how to get you to the bottom of the pit more quickly and efficiently than the last guy did.
Come on, guys, they're totally going to challenge Nancy this time. I promise. I swear. Don't worry. Trust me. Just vote for these guys.
God.
We need 2 more senators and 3 more progressives.
Mm-hmm.
And we need
We're
to take
so close.
The House, and just go with us, and then we'll not do it.
Then we have to bring out the other script for why we can't give you what you need.
Yeah. Okay.
This guy turned out to be an asshole script.
Yeah.
We thought we could trust this prick. We were wrong.
The rotating villain script. So. Hey, Warren, what are you doing here? Wait,
we're fucked.
That's where I was going with that one.
What's up next on the menu?
We've got Open Heart. Perennial Edition. Okay. Because we do have Open Hearts.
If you don't mind, and you know, we're all about honesty here on American Tradition. I need to piss desperately. So if you want to maybe do the quick network plug, tell everyone where they can find everything. I'm gonna pee before I pass out, and then I'll be right back.
Hi everybody. Well, this is just Indy now. We're gonna go to Indy. Jesse's gonna take a little bit of a break. All right, so I'm taking over American Tradition. This is great because I get an actual opportunity to talk about some of the things that happened this weekend. Holy crap. INN celebrated its 1-year anniversary, and we're so excited and proud to have Jesse be a part of it. But we ran 14 hours of content featuring not even every member of the network, and that's the most remarkable part. Is I actually felt bad after the day of content. I felt great because I'm so proud of what we accomplished, and so proud of everyone that put in the effort to make this happen. And I'm so happy to edit and do all the work to make that happen and schedule out all the streams and book all that out and work with Reef to make all that happen. But I felt bad because there were a buttload of people that did not get featured at all. And I want to give them a quick shout out since we're sitting here and I'm looking at an empty chair. I kind of feel like Clint Eastwood at the 2018 or whatever it was Republican convention where Clint Eastwood's yelling at the empty chair. But Daryl from Black in the Empire.
Yeah, we're back.
Okay, I'm just shouting out some of the people
sorry.
that we
Hey.
didn't actually get to feature on Saturday at the anniversary stream at the anniversary day. So to Tommy's Diary,
yeah.
and to Tommy actually put out a new video today on her channel. So check out to Tommy's Diary, TAHTAHME. It's the Tommy, Lucy from Blue Moon Red Wine, and also Tommy Nation Politics. He was actually live earlier. It was a recorded interview that he had done with Delilah Barrios. Definitely go check that out when this is over. Love to Tommy Nation. There were two shows that I had actually produced, both with INN one-on-one with Rob Durden, as well as, and we'll bring Jesse back, and INN one-on-one with Rob Durden, and Friends of Indie Left have both run on INN, and none of were even discussed. The student debt marathon. I mean, we really could have done an entire other day of content if we had enough time to block it, schedule it, and clip it out. But again, just so proud of the day that we had. Oh, here we go. We got
Kitty.
I see Kitty.
Come on.
I see Kitty showing up. All right, we got rarities. So we've got Open Heart.
Open Heart. Let's get it.
Let's get after Open Heart, and we'll go to presenter mode. Kitty.
I took my heart out, put it in the trash. Looking back, I guess I should have just donated it for research. Grabbed a sweater, I was bleeding through my t-shirt. Took my phone out, gave the media a scroll, and saw a dozen pigs brutalize a man until he had a seizure. And then continue beating, because it's more than just a knee jerk, it's an everyday procedure. Absolute power is the sickest teacher. Absolute power makes the crowd afraid of anything but heaping thanks upon the proud protectors of this fascist state, so they can't wait to praise their brave demeanor. They can't wait to cheer on all the officers who beat their neighbors bloody, because they're not the ones detained, they're the ones who got to watch it from the bleachers. If you thought that was bleak, then grab your seats, I'm getting bleaker. Down 1,000 leagues beneath the dreams of the beleaguered, beyond the wall of sleep, into the clamor of the non-sleepers. And ever deeper, till I'm barely hearing my own reverb, till I can't feel my own speaker, till I can't see a future where I'd ever change a lyric just to land a feature. And I've never been a man to go for standard features. I would like to wax my fingerprints and sand my features, smoother than the patch you slapped across your tax releases. Because we live in a world where you can watch a dozen cops assault a man until he's seizing, and you might feel the need to try to film it since there's no one else who sees it. And if they see your phone, they'll be at your throat announcing how they're here to seize it. And if you don't comply with them, you know it's open season. An instinct tells you yell for help till you remind yourself that you'd be calling for the aid of those same brave policemen who are threatening to bash your teeth in. This land is your land, now here's your easement. This is the law, and those upholding it are far from decent, but not too far from calling your free speech a form of treason. Not too far from calling in the dogs and watching gleefully as you get torn to pieces. You don't need to break the law for them to find a reason, 'cause now the laws can change into whatever your arresting officer will deem needed. So pardon me if I'm a bit defeatist. But how is our compassion for the least of us so rarely ever focused on the poor but more concerned about a fetus? As you can see, you need not be a member of the ruling class elite to be elitist. As you can see, you needn't be concerned about our needs to come and lead us. I mean, look at how our leaders treat us. See how they don't even hide. They can step out in the brightest light of day to say they plan to cheat us. And we would let them lock us in a cage, and when they send us on our way, we wouldn't say a word should they display the nerve to claim they freed us. We'd just thank them for protecting us, and serving us, and macing us, and beating us, and raping us, and turning off the cam so there's no proof of what they take from us. So basically, we'd thank them for our freedoms. They don't give a shit about your rights, that's why they never read them. That's why your senators are racing to delete them, knowing you'll observe the process helplessly and still do anything to please them. And knowing you'll eternally be thanking them for all your freedoms, even when you really can't perceive them.
Hey, Cap.
I'm muted. Yeah, pre Roe v. Wade change, and I was re-recording this. I was like, "Oh shit, this feels like an entirely different piece right now."
Yeah. Yeah. Look how our leaders treat us. 100%. Look, scare the crap
Again,
out of us
I
into voting
think
blue and then yank the student debt.
something tells me. Sorry, something tells me I could probably re-record this every election cycle and midterms, and it would somehow fit in new ways every time.
That's
So,
great. All right. So we've got a few left. We've got Understanding
yeah.
Perennial Edition.
Oh man, less than understanding. So this one was tough. This one, the first time I tried to read this one live, I had a part that just always chokes me up, and I got through it on this one, but just by the skin of my teeth.
Yeah. All right.
I think that it takes something less than understanding to assist in lending rationale to politicians justifying obstinately blocking out our voices and turning from the needs we've been consistently demanding. And sometimes all it takes to knock us out when we're awake is just some positive strategic branding. Democracy is always greener where the drones are landing. Notwithstanding human damage, we've seen time and time again how little most Americans concern themselves with matters of the foreign and collateral. We've been told that war is something practical. Who'd have guessed that 500,000 deaths were not a tragedy, but really something tactical? But really, did you think you'd see an honest show of grief from those who've only stomached peace in brief war room sabbaticals? Stocking up munitions like crusading Christians, here to save this failing fascist system from some 20-something radicals. They'd have you believe the people fighting for your basic needs, your human rights and dignities are really Russian sleeper cells. They're so bent on putting us to sleep, they never sleep themselves. Anything to starve us out to guarantee that they can always feed themselves. Anyone to blame so they can dodge a little heat themselves. Anyone to burn in times of need so they can heat themselves. And most will live and die and never know a day of luxury and leisure like these bloated corpses decadently treat themselves. So I'm for barricading them inside until they eat themselves. I'm for building walls around our leaders so they really have to meet themselves and see what they've become while they've been feeding on the hungry. And when we place the last brick blocking out the sun, we'll tell them we don't fucking want you. You can keep yourselves. Consider it a blessing that we've left you in the dark so you can't see yourselves. Now begins a lifetime of fumbling in the black, looking for the bootstraps we said you'd need to free yourself. Obviously that was false, but funny how you fall for all the tricks you used to teach yourself. Funny that the speech was so effective, you had zero recollection that you wrote the fucking speech itself. Funny you've been pointing fingers, saying immigrants are leeches, buddy, you're the fucking leech yourself. Maybe do us all a favor and delete yourself. If all that you can offer is our slow, neglectful slaughter, we don't need your help. You may not believe it, Mr. President, but we don't need a helping hand to kill ourselves. And what a stroke of luck for you, since you'll do all that Trump would do, that you can just perpetuate his hate and never have to write the bill yourself. And what a stroke of luck for us that you lack half a brain to write the bill yourself. 'Cause the crime bill is bloody proof enough that any time you had your druthers, you outdid yourself. And you legalized abuse, the scars of which this country may not ever rid itself. But mark my words, if there should come a day the scars fade, then America will quickly wash away the true dishonor that it did itself. 2008, I made a resolution not to ever kid myself. 2016, I knew the utter fear of seeing what the world was turning into when I finally had to kid myself. 2021, I'm sitting staring at my son, and when he offers up a hug, I'm just a frightened little kid myself. Shake it off, it's just a talk I'll have to give myself. It's just something less than understanding. It's the part of me I keep restrained, who's foaming at the brain and chewing through the metal banding, flying through my future fears and never cleared for landing. 2021, I'm sitting staring at my son, and I am suddenly informed by something more than understanding. The thought that if I pick this spot in history to take the side of silence and complicity, his life would be the more impacted. So no, I don't oppose the fascists because I smell some kind of victory on the air. I oppose them because I cannot see them everywhere and offer no reaction. And I will tell my son that in the war I wield a verbal gun that shits on fascist satisfaction. And I hope he knows his dad defends his future with his every passion.
Oh, yeah. Cynic's right. Cynic's right. I'm not crying, you're crying. Damn it. Damn it. What are you doing to me? Ooh. This is what all the parents, leaky shit.
Shit. Which brings us to Conviction, which is was the last track on the on the original.
And again, you talk about it, tell my son that in the war I wield a verbal gun that shits on fascist satisfaction, man. You know, what did you do during the war, Daddy? You know, like like literally that was
here's that album.
the phrase that kept going through my head, and you know, I think back to our stream the other night when it was like the 5 or 6 of us, and Colin goes, you know, Indy's kids call him Indy. Like, that just killed me. It was so damn funny. Like, yeah, they definitely know what I'm up to, and they they think I'm famous, and then like I'm on TV, and everybody knows who Indy is. It's the funniest shit in the world. I love it. They're the best. All right, so yeah, we got Winter Belmarsh. Oh boy. Okay. So we all know free Julian Assange. Free Julian Assange. I don't get paid, but I can't say it enough. So, fuck you, Joe Biden. And hey, Elon Musk, if you believe in free speech, why don't you at least turn that guy's account back on and let us read his words that he wrote in 2011, 2012, 2013, 14, 15.
Yep.
Profound statements that are prescient and relevant today that could indict people, you know, and defiant. Think about the defiant L's that he could post. My goodness.
Put it in these terms. Think of the Twitter traffic.
Whew.
Think of the increased Twitter traffic and ad revenue.
Seriously. Come on, Elon. Let's make this happen.
We have to speak to the man's heart, what little heart there is. It's money based.
Oh my God,
so.
that's it.
If you thought you saw your freedom, it was truly a mirage. Freedom's locked a cell away from Julian Assange. Our First Amendment rights are by his side behind bars, and the next voices silenced will be ours. Rest assured, democracy is rotting in the dark. Rest assured, we vilified dissenters, pushed out black renters, and tore down their housing just to build a little urban park. God, I tell you, old America really knows how to leave its mark. Blaze a trail, leave 100 scars. Rip your free speech out your throat. Demonize the man who told you it was so, and leave him freezing in a cell in Belmarsh. Perpetually awaiting extradition. Thrown to the wolves of claustrophobia and malnutrition. And all that we can hope is that we catch Uncle Joe in a fleeting, lucid moment of his flickering, senile fascist mission. That maybe we could trick him into thinking Julian is just a sweet, blonde, middle school Christian. She got mixed up with a few bad apples, slapped with some charges, and thrown into prison. Joe would set him free without a moment's hesitation under one condition: that he can sniff her hair before she goes back to school and he goes back to business. But if Joe's just had his shots, then we haven't got a chance of getting past his black and white vision. Getting past his gut reaction to appease all of his donors' sick requests and shape policy and law around corporate mandated decisions. So really, all along, I think Julian was one man standing in a tempest with the fearlessness of true conviction. And if his is the only conviction we see after he shed a light on this country's most poisonous schemes all come to fruition, And we all collectively stare at the ground because we felt like our hands were too tied beyond signing petitions. While he's tortured to death for attempting to warn and enlighten admittedly not quite the brightest of citizens, and half of this country just won't take the time to uncover the truth, or they just don't mind, so they're quick to dismiss it and say it's a difficult position. Well, then we're back to the comfort of centrist delusion. Right back to sleep for the ignorant sheep who resisted themselves into one protracted contusion, twisting themselves into knots to correct all your stimulus check-based confusion, wrapping their necks around their backs as they justify overflow migrant detention or fracking pollution. Then Kamala laughs, and the camera pans down to her shoes. And that footage is 90% of your 6 o'clock news. Except for a feel-good story about a man who, at 95 years young, just made Employee of the Month at Whole Foods. And the $50 gift card means this month he'll afford his prescriptions and meals, and he won't have to choose. This is the machine that a man named Julian Assange threw his body on the gears of, for you. So to cry out for his freedom is the least that we can do. Now best believe the feds will serve to muddy up the truth, but rest assured the temperature in Belmarsh is an icy 22, and Julian is shivering in a solitary room without a view. Rest assured Obama loves a whistleblower just about as much as he loves weddings where he doesn't get to detonate the groom. Rest assured Obama bought the plot where all our First Amendment rights are gonna rot and demanded that they carve his smiling likeness on the tomb. So when you come to pay respects to your free speech rights, and a somber feeling hits you and you look up to the sky, the answer will be staring you right in the eyes to the questions of why and of who. So if you thought you saw your freedom, then they wanted you to. Human rights are mutable, and Julian is proof. Our First Amendment rights are stuck in solitary too. And the next voice silent might be you.
Or it might be Garland Nixon. Oh, you're muted. I feel like we're playing the Zoom
I said
game.
no shit.
Yeah.
I was incredibly lucky. Among other people I got to meet at the CPI event in Chicago. It was Garland Nixon was one of them, and we all ended up having dinner in the lobby of that hotel. It was me and Tara and Garland and a few other folks, and ended up sharing an order of fries with Garland. He's a malt vinegar guy, which is a fun fact about Garland Nixon. But we were talking about Twitter, and at one point, out of the blue, he looks at me and goes, you know, none of that shit's real, right? He goes, I mean, it's real, but none of that shit's real. And there's something very Zen-like about that several times since I have had a couple moments on Twitter where something's like really getting to me and I'm like, none of this shit's real. And then I'm just like, it washes over me. So Garland, if you're listening, that has become something of a mantra for me now. And I thank you for it. So,
that's great.
And also for the fries that you shared. Wisdom and fries. You can't ask for more. So
he's a great dude. We're gonna work on trying to get him back on Twitter
Fantastic.
in some way, shape, or form. I'm waiting for him to give me a different phone number. We're gonna work on getting him a new account. So look for that. Hopefully coming up soon, and hopefully he'll be back on with Tara doing another interview with her. Talk to her about making that happen, and maybe joining for Reef and Colin for an INN News one night. We can maybe hopefully make that happen. We're talking. We're working on a few things. So, all right, we got. Oh boy, you're killing me, bro. You're killing me.
Strap in, bud.
All right.
I love the musical version of that. Shout out to Coheed and Cambria, because that guitar bit has always felt like that was my Coheed riff. That was my Coheed moment. But it's also something that it's the one thing I cannot play and do that piece at the same time. My brain just can't do that multitask. And it's the only acoustic song of mine that I can't, but it drives me nuts. So yeah, I'd done it spoken word on a few shows, and it's a very different piece spoken, and especially after having done it at the CPI event for Tara, I wanted to end up recording it spoken, so it felt like a good thing to add on here. So yeah, so here's Read Between the Lines.
I don't think I've ever heard it spoken, and yeah, I'm glad I'm going to mute this because I definitely will not be able to hold together for this for sure. By the way, congratulations to Tara, who was finally monetized on YouTube. She hit her 4,000 watch hours. She's at her 1,000, almost 2,000 subs on YouTube. So now next time she goes live, hopefully, I think that's going to be next Thursday night. On the 29th, she just said she's got a special guest coming up. You'll be able to give her super chats, which is awesome. I'm so proud of her. So excited for her.
Awesome.
That's great. So, all right, here we go. Read Between the Lines.
We love you, Tara.
Love you, Tara.
Legend says that Hercules swept Cerberus right off his feet and effortlessly set him down as softly as a songbird. Atlas kept the world upon his back, and every day he wondered whether he could stand it any longer. And Tara Reade came out to say the man they tried to label the Messiah of morality was really just another rapist. And I don't intend to hesitate when asked who was the stronger. Tara, like Assange, knew that carrying the truth would be the hardest labor. Tara knew that her assailant wasn't going to make us any safer. Knew he's just the type of man to hand a decent foreign leader U.S.-printed walking papers. And knew he'd be relentless and aggressive in the war he'd wage upon her very character. That his attempts to weaken and degrade and embarrass her would be her only compensation. But I strongly doubt that anyone could ever have foreseen the stream of hate that came from quote-unquote progressives and the self-styled titans of survivor advocation. So if you really think there's something to be gained out of sharing that pain with the world, then you are sorely mistaken. The Biden team just drugged their feet addressing Tara's allegations until they had a decent list of smears, and then they aired them out on every station. And it turns out no one wants to hear the truth of who they praised as being worthy of such bloated liberal celebration. No one wants to really know the person they've so valiantly defended, even when it meant they had to gloat and shit all over someone braver than they'd be if given the occasion. Now cue the faceless comment squad invasion. Cue those fuckers crawling out the woodwork to come analyze the way you wore your hair and what you wear. Like your appearance waives your rights, or that somehow you're the reason for your situation. Somehow they've decided you should bear responsibility for what such monstrous men insist on doing. Somehow they're deluded by the empty, hypocritical, and useless fucking platitudes that bastard keeps on spewing. And I think it's very telling that the best of your excuses when you try to come and justify our president's abuses is a hearty "but Trump." In which case I'll remind you that you never saw the news attempt to sell you Donald Trump like he was morally upstanding or a decent human. But when Joe says something bigoted or ogles someone's little kid, CNN says, "Isn't this refreshing? Biden's like a mix of JFK and FDR with all the finer parts of Harry Truman." And Christ, I know that they don't think that we're the brightest, but at least pretend we've got a couple lumens. Ask yourself if you have ever questioned what they fed you, or do you just shut your eyes and then consume it? Now ask yourself if you ate every one of Biden's lies under the guise of harm reduction and the promise of a slight improvement. And now imagine long ago that Biden chose to show you who he really was by traumatizing you for his amusement. Now imagine that you watched him touch a Bible with those filthy hands and then assume the power of the highest seat in all the land. Knowing your attacker wields a global coalition born of three-letter agencies who will make a life's mission out of trying to discredit you through lies, damn lies, and collusion. Now, big tech is never going to separate from our surveillance state. Fuck's sakes, they're just a breath away from total fusion. So there will come a time where even if you see the light, your voice will never reach the sky through all the bots and all the noise pollution. So trust us when we tell you that the masking of abuses is perhaps this country's oldest institution. And I know nothing nobler than facing it in honor of the truth when you know that the people holding power have been neutralizing truth since there was wet ink on the Constitution. So know that Tara's truth is something crucial to the movement. And if you see yourself a partner to the revolution, help this country see through all the baseless propaganda, through the crux of Joe's illusions, and recognize that Tara Reade gave everything she had so she could tell us what the truth is. And recognize the decent thing to do when someone bares their soul and shows their bruises is not to ask for context or offer up your own solution. Your job is just to listen with an honest mind and put yourself on Tara's side a moment so you understand the path she chooses. There is no instant fame that's worth the dragging of your name. And if that's what you think, then you've a lot to learn about the kind of facts the mob can handle and the kind that it refuses. You've a lot to learn about the news and all its many uses. Guess you've yet to learn the truth the news will serve as fruit from which they've squeezed out all the juices. And we all eat the husks and just pretend it's full of nutrients and isn't really useless. But the jaws of our ability to yield accountability are absolutely toothless. So don't you kid yourself that any lips are being loosened. They won't ever tell us where the bodies are or show us where the proof is. It's on you to recognize the lechery our president so regularly oozes. It's on you to muster up some honesty and ask yourself how Biden won our trust, but it's America that loses. Open up your eyes and learn to recognize the bruises. Open up your eyes and learn to recognize the bruises.
All right, you got me, you son of a bitch. The waterworks the whole freaking time. You're killing me. You got me the whole damn time. I don't know how you hold it together.
Man, doing that piece
in
in front of her.
I couldn't even imagine.
I had to just like lock it in, man. It was that was super emotional just overall, you know. Reading all of that, I was like, yeah, just sweating like a horse in church the whole time.
I mean, yeah, we eat all the husk and
just fun Jesse fact.
It isn't really
even
useless.
Even if it's 40 degrees out, if I'm playing music, I'm gonna start just sweating like obscenely. It's my superpower.
Yeah, this is
all right, and that brings us to our last track of the Perennial Edition, which is
American Desires.
American Desires, yeah, the Palestine piece. Yeah, this was when I never, I recorded this song. It's on YouTube, and I've posted it on Twitter, but it never ended up on any, album or anything. So I was like, you know what? I should do it as a spoken word piece and include it on here so it can at least be out in some form. So yeah, this is the Palestine piece.
Cool.
I don't mean to sound alarmist, but most of what they let you read is garbage. Most of it's designed to warp our minds until subconsciously you find you'll take the time to lick their boots free of grime and wipe their minds free of tarnish. Oil is the centerpiece, a body count of millions is the garnish. So how's it feel to know we funded every carcass? That every year our taxes pay for carpet bombing Gaza under shroud of darkness? We spend enough a year to house and feed each homeless person in the streets on turning families in apartment buildings in the Middle East to bloody craters full of charred garments. And our media is silent at best. At worst, they can find it in themselves to call war crimes clashes and label children burned to ashes terrorists who played a stupid game and reaped the harvest. And every time we try to paint the truth, the news sends all their slugs to suck off all the varnish and distort it into something harmless. The media will hang you by your feet and keep you half asleep. So yes, I'm here to set you free, but freedom won't be sweet because you'll fall 1,000 feet when I come cut you out your harness. They say those who dream the deepest fall the farthest. They also say that home is where the heart is. But if home for you is Gaza, Netanyahu's got you painted as a target. Perhaps it's not the impact, but it's what you see when falling that will hit the hardest. Maybe it's the sound of all those children crying out in those apartments that will hit the hardest. Maybe all those little bodies scattered in the dirt will hit the hardest. Maybe seeing human lives assigned such little worth will hit the hardest. Maybe it's the knowledge that you're paying for the darkest of atrocities committed on this earth that will hit the hardest. Maybe it's the knowledge that we give 10 million a day to oppressors who possess the kind of Medicare you'll die in debt before you see that's gonna hit the hardest. Maybe then you'll see you've always had more in common with the commoners whose slaughter we fund every day in Gaza than our senators and bosses. Maybe then you'll see our country never had a conscience. And maybe then the retroactive guilt will make you nauseous. Maybe what hits harder than the impact is the act of being conscious, of knowing your complicity and helplessness to try and stop the bloody deeds of Congress. And that no matter who's in office, America preserves its foreign interests by whatever means its greed demands, however monstrous. We'll always need a place to train our Contras. And Biden's got a backup plan should harm befall the Holy Land. Wipe it off the map, he'll draw it back on with an iron hand. He demands in Israel, or reasonable effigy, to exercise democracy and colonize the Middle East, regardless of the human cost or phosphorus atrocities, all bought and paid with money they rerouted out the budget for the non-essential things like ever making Flint's water clean. Maybe what hits hardest is the day you see this country for its actual priorities and never more no honest peace attempting sleep. Maybe then you'll look at politicians making speeches like a blood-encrusted beast espousing destiny to empty seats and fellow leeches. As the gauntlet of democracy extends its brutal reach, like a giant wave of trash come to crash on foreign beaches. Maybe build a base, throw a flag down, and heavily pollute the region. Rape your ecosystems, gut your fauna, and congratulate you on your new allegiance. Oops, we mean alliance. This is something mutual until you're non-compliant. We stole something crucial on which you can be reliant. Maybe what hits hardest is the centrists saying both sides need to stop the violence. Those would be the very same centrists saying we should all accept police brutality, who hem and haw and clutch their fucking pearls and spend their time condemning riots. But very soon the day will come when centrists all get censored like the rest of us, and pious as they'll try to be, they won't stay quiet. But they'll just end up shouting in that void that they were all so quick to render us subscribers, and it will be too late to light the fires. So far away tonight, there burn the spires of a region set ablaze for which you've paid for every pyre, which is why your checks weren't all $600 higher. Call it foreign interests or American desires.
Yeah.
And there you have it.
Yeah. Free Palestine?
Yeah, and that's a wrap. That's a wrap on Perennial Edition coming spring.
Wow, we made it. Release,
Right?
re-release.
So yeah,
November 14th.
year to the date from the original.
So Jesse has another piece.
Yeah, it feels weird calling this a piece because it doesn't rhyme. Because I don't
tribute, so to say.
I always write in rhyme, and I honestly did. If I
he
had
has a
time,
strongly
I would've
worded letter.
been
Let's call it that.
There you go. I was tempted to try to take this and turn it into like take all these points and make them rhyme, but I was just after Garland got taken down and we find out, of course, it was a NAFO mass report, like so many other accounts. And that seems to be one thing that Twitter is, if not outright assisting, then just turning a blind eye to, which again isn't surprising in the least bit. I'm hesitant to go all out on there because it's like K-Hive back in the day. It's like you'll get your shit suspended right away. They'll pick one tweet, they'll mass report it, and you're gone. And I figured this would be the only, if there is a somewhat safe forum to do it, this is the place. I figured it's only people I can trust hanging out with me at midnight on here. So when I found out about Garland today, I was driving around on my forklift and just kind of bitching out NAFO to myself in the air like a crazy person. So I started just writing it down, and yeah, I ended up with this this little open letter to NAFO. This is if it had a title, it would be Lapdog.
They got Joe too.
This
by
is
the way.
Yeah. So again, at first I was like, maybe I shouldn't do it, but you know, they have lists they'll go down, and I could get taken out tomorrow just from being associated with the right people. And I'd much rather take a good shot here first while I have the platform. And again, if Jesse Jett goes down, you can always follow me at Vote for Cy Oppenheimer. So yeah, this is
and at INN. Believe me,
this is
INN will be screaming at Get Indie News.
This is my open letter to NAFO.
Wait, you froze.
This is for the people behind NAFO dog accounts, and not the ones that are feds. They don't count because feds aren't people. This is for the ones playing along at home. This is for the ones anxious to be a part of the battle against misinformation. For the gleeful little gears of the proxy war machine. You can report away 100,000 accounts. You can flag 1 million tweets, but you can never change the truth. And the truth is that one day, you'll have to tear yourself away from the screen that you desperately suckle validation out of, and you won't be able to insulate yourself away from all those truths you fought so hard to squelch every chance you got. And you're going to realize that the system that consumed the retirement funds of your parents, or forced your neighbors out into the street, or let a friend kill themselves in the face of medical debt is the very same system you've been debasing yourself for fun and for free. The people who orchestrate all of this greed and who profit from all of our hunger are the same people whose legs you've been frantically humping for a chance at a pat on the head for being such a good boy. Such a good little fella. And maybe what's most pathetic about it is that you're so happy to be included and so proud to wear that badge of honor that says you've handed over the leash to your agency, you've neutered your flaccid dignity, and you've turned yourself into obedient little lapdogs, all while asking nothing in return. So you've forever identified yourself in the eyes of your owners as the kind of dog who will do whatever kind of trick they ask of you, and you'll do it all for nothing. So why would you ever be rewarded? Your only compensation might be a 10-second head start before they run you down and suck out all your livelihood just like the rest of us. So by all means, shut down my Twitter account. Go ahead and wield that tiny fragment of power that makes you feel consequential for a moment, and try to convince yourself your owners aren't going to put you down before your time like the thousands of obedient mutts that came before you. The unfortunate truth about dogs is that some of them are so deliriously happy to be given a treat that they'll swallow it whole, even if it's toxic to them, even if it's poison. They're just happy for the attention. They're just happy to be someone's pet. They're just such good dogs. Lapdogs.
They'll eat chocolate. Why was I
Rest in peace, Garland Nixon.
Free Garland Nixon. Why was I closing my eyes and seeing Dylan Burns? I was literally picturing Dylan Burns when I was.
I'm sorry. I did. I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
So if you don't trust the CIA and our institutions, then what do you trust? Like, that's another one. Like you just did that for free. Yep. So why the hell would they ever pay you?
Exactly. Why would they give you dick for that? Exactly.
Oh, dude, genius. I fucking love it. Anna says that she loves him more. # malt vinegar on Garland Nixon. Go give Garland Nixon, go give him some love over on the Rockfin, rockfin.com/Garland Nixon. He's over on YouTube, Rockfin. He's everywhere. Go support him. I believe he's over on Rumble too. He may be. And we're gonna be doing some stuff to try to help him and support him and shout him out. And I think a lot of people are gonna
cut off one head, two grow in its place. Can't stop that machine.
That's what happened. Oh, Jenna Colby's asking for a Misty.
We're fucked.
You got it.
There it is. Man,
right,
again, thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. It's been a late night slogging through some pretty dystopian heavy shit, and I would rather be doing absolutely nothing else. This is my place to be, and I love you guys for hanging out.
And this is Indy always yelling to question everybody's motivations. You know what? I still don't even have a goodbye screen for this. It's so bad. You know, INN has an outro here. We're working on getting that, and Joe's video is good, so we could probably hook that up somewhere, but I don't even know where it is. All right. Have a good night, everybody. We're out.